Welcome, Silvia. Silvia has been working in the field of ELT for about 25 years, both as a teacher and a materials writer. She has also taught German and Italian as L2. She has taught a variety of students at nursery, middle, and high school and university. Over the last 10 years, she has attended many teacher training courses in Italy and around Europe, getting to know different school systems firsthand and further developing her teaching skills. These job shadowing experiences have allowed her to promote and disseminate new approaches in school, teacher training courses, and teaching guides. So, welcome, Silvia.
Good afternoon.
You.
Thank you for having me here. I'm really pleased I'm sharing my presentation with you. I do hope, okay. Okay. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see it? Yes, okay.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really pleased to be here on behalf of Ali Publishing and also to have had this possibility to present my idea at the launch of an extensive reading association in Italy. Thank you for the bio, okay, because my personal experience has boosted my love for reading. And as you can see, the topic of my presentation is Read and Think, encouraging students to critical thinking through reading. And I would like to add subtitles echoing Jonathan Swift, a modest proposal, because I know that it's a huge topic, so I do not know if I can I know that I won't be able to say everything about it, but just to provide you with some food for thought, hopefully. My experience as a teacher of English has also been characterized by love for reading, which started back in time when I was a learner of English. And believe it or not, as you can see from the pic, I still have the Ellie Teen magazines my mom subscribed to actually 35 years ago. So it's a coincidence that I'm here today after 35 years, speaking on behalf of Ellie, having this beginning. And I'm saying this because I know that we can encourage our students to read if we read first. So teaching by examples is a very good thing. And actually, I'm devoted to reading. As you can see, I started off from a personal point of view, but I'm moving forward, okay, tackling the topic from a more objective point of view. I spent just a couple of words more about reading, since when I started learning English, we didn't have all the possibilities we have nowadays. So my learning was mainly based on reading books, magazines, and so the love for reading is deeply rooted in my heart. Good reasons, okay, to start reading, to support our students to read, is that reading widens the horizons of language, and reading widens the horizon of our thinking skills. So we see firsthand that learning a language is strictly connected to thinking skills. So reading and thinking getting together. And this is basically the red thread I would like to follow along my presentation. I got an example, okay, here, taken from a movie that I really like, in which we will see highlighted the idea that each single new word is a new thought that we are able to express. So reading and thinking getting together. The movie I'm referring to is a kind of old movie now, because it's Dangerous Mind, starring young Michelle Pfeiffer. and the movie was released in 1995. And at a certain point in this movie, there's a dialogue between the teacher is Michelle Pfeiffer as Luann Johnson, and she's talking to the class, and there's this exchange between Luann Johnson and one of the students. The student says, "So what's the prize we're gonna get for learning this poem?" "Learning is the prize," replies the teacher. "Knowing how to read something and understand it is the prize." "Okay, knowing how to think is the prize." The student says, "I know how to think right now." Teacher, "Okay, well, you know how to run too, but not the way you could run if you trained. You know, the mind is like a muscle, and if you want it to be really powerful, you got to work it out. Each new fact gives you another choice. Each new idea builds another muscles, and it's those muscles that are gonna make you really strong. Those are your weapons, and in this unsafe world, I want to arm you." And that's what these poems are supposed to do? Yeah. So if we substitute poems with the word graded readers, I think it fits today's presentation well. Reading, I think, should be the least in need of an explanation here, because we are in the hub of extensive reading association. So I'm talking to teachers, learners who have made reading their school of life, so to say. But anyway, I'm moving from something really subjective, my personal experience, to something more objective, which is the definition of reading according to very important dictionaries, that is to say, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary and the Oxford Dictionary. I'm tackling the etymological meaning of these words to see the link between reading and thinking. So according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, reading is receiving or taking in the sense of letters, symbols, and signs, especially by sight or touch. It is learning from what one has seen or found in writing or in printing. It is becoming acquainting or looking over the contents of something, such as, first and foremost, a book. I love this definition because book is there, okay? So like boosting the meaning of today's presentation, today's launch of the Extensive Reading Association. According to the Oxford Dictionary, reading is looking at and comprehending meaning of written or printed matter by interpreting the characters or symbols of which it is composed. So again, we see that reading and thinking are interwoven, and I'm trying to demonstrate this starting from the etymology of these two words. I created this table so that we can see the two verbs, which both belong to the Old English. They both come from Old English. Read, readen, which means interpret, guess, and advise. Think, from Old English, thinken. Imagine, conceive in the mind, consider. So we see that both have this element of knowledge which unites the two. So reading and thinking are even etymologically connected. Still, from a very objective point of view, I've done the same with the word thinking. So I've investigated a bit more in the dictionary. And so here we go with the two definitions. So thinking is the action of using one's mind to produce thoughts, an opinion, or some judgment. I've underlined these words because you will see that they will be really, really useful in order to better understand the critical thinking skill and the critical thinking approach we are going to take into account. And according to the Oxford Dictionary, thinking, to have a particular idea or opinion about something, somebody, to believe something, to use your mind to consider something, to form. Sorry, here I got the pictures which are covering my presentation, the slides, but okay, I'm reading from my notes. So just a second, something to form connected ideas to try to solve problems. Am I correct? Because I can't see the bottom of my slide. So here we go. Let's spend a couple of words more about thinking. According to our definition, thinking is more active than reading, in the sense that reading can stimulate our thinking activity, but it's the thinking that gets the words or thoughts into action. That's the reason why I've chosen this pick, because obviously reading boosts our thinking, but is the thinking that gets then our ideas into action. I know that this statement might sound quite disruptive, but if you patiently follow my lead, I will try to explain you the reason why. And it's where the critical thinking comes in. First of all, I would like to show you this graph that I found on the internet because I'm starting from a memory of mine. When at the turn of the century, the beginning of the millennium, think, I remember, was really present in book titles. So I had textbooks at school with the title Thinking Skills, Think. And so I've done some research on the internet, since the thinking skills are considered the pivotal skills for the 21st century. And actually, the use of the verb think along the last 2 centuries has varied. As we can see, during the 19th century was kind of constant. So it was kind of up, up, up. Then at the beginning and all along the 20th century, we see a certain decline. And so if we put the two things together, and we think about last century, the 2 world wars, the Cold War, and this lack of thinking, maybe it can provide us with extra good reason to boost, the thinking skills through reading. Luckily, with the turn of the century, 21st century, we see that think has really improved, and we are really up high here. The graph dates back to 2019, but I think over the last 5 years, things haven't changed that much. Being thinking a skill obviously can be practiced and developed. Nobody is a born critical thinker. So as a skill, critical thinking, is just like going to the gym. And graded readers can be the gym that we are looking for to boost the pleasure of reading. And so as a result, to develop critical thinkers in our students. Okay, so let's better define what critical thinking is. I do not know if you're accustomed to Bloom's taxonomy. In a nutshell, Bloom's taxonomy is a pyramidal structure that represents the classification of the educational learning objectives into levels of complexity and specificity. Critical thinking belongs to the higher order thinking skills. We see the lower order thinking skills, which are remembering, understanding, applying, but critical thinking happens here when we start to analyze, evaluate, and lately create. I think there are lots of links with the previous presentations. And here we go. So given a problem, the learner, the reader, so we try to link, the reading with the thinking, starts thinking about the problem. For example, if we take into account our graded readers, maybe the reader can ask himself or herself, what does this word or phrase mean? Why has the author chosen this word or phrase rather than another? And we start with the reasoning process. Analyzing maybe the context, analyzing the author's choices, etc. Then we got pros and cons, and we got the evaluating process. And hopefully, if our reasoning, our critical thinking has been a good one, we can find a solution to the problem by taking the right decision. And indeed, the words that are used in order to express critical thinking are etymologically justified, because critical comes from kritikos, from the Greek kritikos, sorry, which means able to judge or discern. So I do hope to have provided you with a good reason why critical thinking is so fundamental nowadays, not only on a personal level, but mainly to promote active citizenship. It's key to create more conscious citizens who can better understand the signs of our times and consequently take action to make the world a better place. And in order to show you some concrete examples, I picked 4 classics from the abridged version of Ellie Publishing. The abridged version being A1 Anne of Green Gables, and A2 Treasure Island, B2 Frankenstein, and of course also unabridged version, Heart of Darkness, C2. The graded readers are really useful in this sense because, as you can see, I picked 2 pages from Anne of Green Gables. At the bottom of the page, there are these think boxes. And one of the things that we have mentioned even today is that graded readers can enhance the pleasure of reading in our students because they are adequate to their level. So they do not have bumps in the road, basically, but they can enjoy the reading. And the think box is adequate as well. For example, here, page 27, the question is, where do you think the best place is to have a picnic? And you see that A1 level students can be able to express their opinion about that's a simple question, but at the same time, the thinking process has been activated. If we carry on, this is towards the end of the book, we have another think box, and the question is a bit more complex. That is to say, what do you think of Gilbert? So providing the rest of the class, for example, our classmates with our opinion about a person is a bit more demanding compared to the previous decision about the best place where to have a picnic. And so higher is the level, more complex gets the question. So the reader should start making hypotheses or a prediction based on previous data, so to figure out something about the future or fill in subjectively some missing facts. And that's the reason why I've chosen Treasure Island, which is A2. And you see that the think boxes are more frequent and more varied. We see a variety of WH questions in these think boxes. For example, who do you think will help the 3 friends to sail the ship? What do you think has happened to Jim's friends? Why do you think Silver runs away? And so I'm not going to spend too many words about this because I think it's self-evident. Here we go with B2, Frankenstein, and the readers are taken by their hand, they're led in this developing of the critical thinking skills, but the complexity is greater. We have 10 statements and they are supposed to give their opinion if they agree and on which level. Strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree. And even the questions you can see here, how do you think Victor is feeling now that the monster has killed Elizabeth? These questions are obviously much more adequate to an intermediate level. I'm going a bit faster because I'm running out of time. And to conclude, I would like to create a link between today, which is the 23rd of April, so a great date for the launch of the Extensive Reading Association, because today is the World Book and Copyright Day, based on the fact that the bard Shakespeare died on this day for sure, but according to the canon, we believe he was born on this day as well. And I'm quoting from the undisputed king of critical thinking, or better, the undisputed prince of critical thinking, that is Hamlet. We can find an abridged version of it even in the Alley Publishing, and the famous soliloquy, I think, can provide us with a very good example of a critical thinking. To be or not to be, that is the question. So we see the problem, and then the Hamlet starts analyzing it. There's just a rub in his soliloquy that in the end he says, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with disregard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. And I just stated before that critical thinking should enhance our action. So I'm cutting a long story short by saying that Hamlet, in this sense, can be a challenge to us, but let's promote critical thinking through reading. And thank you very much for your kind attention and for promoting reading internationally and nationally.